Our community is terrified, angry and frightened. Upper West Side residents fury as homeless junkies and sex offenders are moved into 3 luxury hotels and turn the area into a spectacle of public urination, catcalling, and brazen drug use. Man. You know, I've been talking a bit about New York over the past few days. It really does seem like the Democrats are doing everything in their power to burn the city to the ground. The other day, we talked about a ton of stuff. I mean, they set up checkpoints, right? The COVID checkpoints, 14-day quarantine, and $10,000 fines for those that break it will guarantee no tourism revenue gone. What happens next? Businesses are shutting down. Crime is skyrocketing in the Upper East Side. This is Manhattan, by the way. Crime is up 286%. And now, following this tropical storm, the power is out. Wow, dude. I don't know what else to say. But this city is basically in flames, man. The policies of these Democrats over the past several months has terrified me, and I mean that quite literally. I can't tell you, after watching, you know, I'm sure most of you feel similarly. This story was nuts to me. The homeless people, the crime. There's another story I want to get into, but in New Jersey, they're going to be releasing, you know, something like 20% of prisoners. We got another story based out of, I believe it's Alexandria, Virginia. A man accused of abusing a woman. They argued COVID, it was too risky for him in jail, so they released him. You know what he did? First thing he does, he goes right to the woman who accused him, and he puts a bullet in her head. And then when they chase him down, he puts a bullet in himself. These policies, man, this has gotten beyond crazy. Let's read this story. Then I want to talk. Look, man, the general idea, I guess, is that New York has become just, wow. Fox News, New York City power outage puts many Manhattan neighborhoods in the dark. Some people, I don't even know how to describe it. Let's read the story. Hundreds of homeless people who have been put up in luxury hotels on Manhattan's Upper West Side by the city as part of its efforts to prevent COVID-19 outbreaks in shelters are terrifying residents by urinating, sleeping, and taking drugs in the street. In July, it emerged that 139 of the city's iconic hotels, which had been forced closed for months, had agreed to take in homeless people for $175 per person per night as part of a scheme by the city to try and avoid an outbreak of COVID-19 in homeless shelters. The city has not released a list of the hotels, but a source told the New York Post the scheme will run until October. Among the hotels on the list are the Belle Eclaire, the Lucerne, and the Belle Nord on the Upper West Side. This week, residents of the neighborhood complained online about the people who are being housed in those hotels, who they say are terrorizing the area. Police sources also told the New York Post that many of them are sex offenders. This sounds like some kind of freaky experiment, I'll tell you what. I've been talking about this a bit, this lefty utopian idea of just taking homeless people and putting them in vacant homes, and it doesn't work. Now you can see exactly what happens. I mean, the city has become a ghost town. Their revenue is gone. They're going to be laying off 22,000 employees. New York City is becoming a nightmare, dystopian wasteland. Now the power's out. Let me repeat that. Now the power is out. I lived in New York when Sandy hit, and on the Lower East Side, I remember going there after the flooding. Mass flooding hit the island. Businesses were shuttered, and the power was out for I believe it was for like weeks. And it was crazy. You'd go to a bodega, right? These little corner stores, and there'd be 2 dudes standing at the front guarding it with like weapons of some sort and lines. And they would let in one person at a time. But all the food had spoiled. So they were like, you know, the stuff in the refrigerators, don't touch the dairy, don't touch the meats. The canned goods are all right. Some of the things in the fridges are all right. You know, maybe like a Gatorade or something. But I don't know how else to explain it. When you see the crime skyrocketing by 286%, the policies are destroying this town. Many of New York's wealthy residents fled months ago, taking their disposable income and their tax dollars with them. And there are fears they may never come back. Yet Bill de Blasio the other day called them fair weather friends and said I should raise their taxes more. De Blasio and Cuomo are enforcing checkpoints to stop tourists from 35 COVID hotspots from entering the city without quarantining for 14 days too. Man, wow. These photos, man, these are crazy. A Facebook group in which residents have shared pictures of men urine. Wow, dude. All right. We're leaving family-friendly territory. I'm sorry. We just got to do it. A Facebook group in which residents have shared pictures of men urinating, masturbating, and laying sprawled out on sidewalks near the hotels has been set up there. Wow. And there are other complaints on Twitter. Our community is terrified, one organizer said. Dr. Megan Martin told the Post. The homeless were moved from dorm-style accommodation around the city to hotels so they can be housed one or two to a room in order to protect them from COVID-19 more effectively. Department of Homeless Services Commissioner Stephen Banks said Thursday, in order to defuse that ticking time bomb, we implemented a massive emergency relocation of human beings from those congregate shelters throughout the city, more than 10,000 in about 8 weeks. However, local residents fear the situation around the 3 hotels could be spiraling out of control. The hotels in the Upper West Side are 3 out of 139 in the city, housing homeless people, according to a source cited by the Post from the Hotel Association of New York City. The initiative is costing hundreds of millions of dollars, according to the source, with FEMA covering 75% and the other 25% being paid for by the city. Officials have reportedly confirmed this breakdown. According to the Post source, the contract to accommodate the homeless in hotels is set to run through until October, but is expected to be renewed. One local community board member told the website that the DHS, who is handling the distribution of the funds, have not been transparent with the local government about the details of the scheme, and locals have been given little to no input or notice. The board member, who chose to stay anonymous, said that they had been told the city was paying hotels $175 per day per person, or $350 a day for housing 2 people in a room. And these hotels are really nice, man. I'm curious why, if these people are being given these really nice rooms, they would go and sleep on the stoops or sleep outside. One thing they don't tell you when they talk about this stuff is many homeless people want to be homeless. I know. I worked in the nonprofit sector literally, I worked for a homeless shelter. I was a director. You do the math, the board member said to the Post. It's a lot of money, adding, it feels like the 1970s. Everyone who can move out is moving out. And there it is. New York City is being destroyed, and it's being destroyed on purpose. Now, I'm not saying it's being destroyed on purpose in the sense that they're like trying to force everyone out, but I'm telling you, they know what they're doing. These people who live here know that they are bringing back this long gone era of crime and homelessness and mafioso rule. They know what they're doing. Why? You know, somebody commented on the podcast the other day, the IRL podcast, saying maybe they're trying to force people out of New York because they're scared of some kind of attack, I guess. We got war. I don't know, man. But I cannot believe, based on everything we've seen so far, that they're trying to help the city. I don't believe it. They're doing everything to reverse course, putting homeless people up in luxury hotels so that the rich people flee even faster. Look, man, I'm no fan of wealth inequality, income disparity. I'm pretty lefty on these issues. But come on, you need the taxes. This to me seems deliberate. Included in, let's read. Local residents have reported seeing fights, have been verbally abused or harassed, seen people spitting despite the ongoing pandemic, and have also seen people looking for or using drugs. Nearly 300 homeless drug and alcohol addicts have reportedly been living at the Lucerne alone since last week. One homeless man, Angel Ortiz, 60, telling the Post, whatever drug you can imagine is being done there. Look at this. Back to the 1970s, concern that New York City could be headed back in time to the bad old days when it was dubbed Fear City. I am telling you, man, these leftists are reactionaries. They don't like the progress we've made. They don't like the civil rights law they are repealing in California, and they want to repeal across the board. They don't like the reforms that came to New York that made it a safe and clean place to live. They are trying to rewind the clock in every single capacity. And I don't know why. I can't read minds, but they're literally doing it. New York. Wow, man. Look at these photos from back in the day. Cops with dogs on trains, graffiti everywhere, people being frisked. I mean, it's basically like that. I'm not going to read about the back in time stuff. Rioting, no neutron bomb. You get the point. This to me was shocking. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, but they got photos of people putting their hands down their pants in front of these places. And now, what do we got? Storm hits. power's out. I'm not going to blame the Democrats for this one. You can't make the weather. But all I can do is when you add all of these failed policies, what do you get? You, following a storm and this chaos, you've set the city up to fail. The storm hits and it's like a bomb was dropped. The businesses are gone. The riots wiped them out. The protests, I suppose, are still allowed. You've got homeless people being put up in the Upper West Side. You've got crime up 286% in the Upper East Side, 209% as a whole in the city. And everybody who can is fleeing. And for the life of me, I don't know why they're doing it, but it just seems like it's on purpose. Man, how about Seattle? The policies of these Democrats, man. Abolish the police. Those who survived the chaos in Seattle aren't so sure. I am so sick of all of this. I am frustrated to no end. How many news outlets said it was peaceful protests in Seattle? It was a summer of love. And now how dare the New York Times say those who survived? That's right, because people were killed. And now what are we learning about what's going on in Seattle? The businesses that were trapped by these far left extremists are talking about how they were being shaken down, about how they were being barricaded in their own buildings, about how they had to provide ID, and sometimes the Chaz police wouldn't let them in. This is what the Democrats are doing. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. San Diego doesn't have these problems. That's run by a Republican. Many of these Republican states didn't allow this, shut it down, or didn't lock down for COVID in the first place. We cannot allow this. The New York Times says, what is it like when a city abandons a neighborhood and the police vanish? Business owners describe a harrowing experience of calling for help and being left all alone. I am telling you, man, the New York Times is writing it up as if they were always there to tell you just how bad it really got. Nah, I'm sorry, man. The Democrats in these cities are doing this on purpose. The mayor, it could be a summer of love. Don't send in the police. How many people had to die for your stupid, PR opportunity on TV? Several people died. How many people had to suffer? The New York Times writes, Faisal Khan was being told by the news media and his own mayor that the protests in his hometown were peaceful with a block party atmosphere. But that was not what he saw through the windows of his Seattle coffee shop. He saw encampments overtaking the sidewalks. He saw roving bands of masked protesters smashing windows and looting. Young white men wielding guns would harangue customers, as well as Mr. Khan, a gay man of Middle Eastern descent who moved here from Texas so he could more comfortably be out. To get into his coffee shop, he sometimes had to seek the permission of self-appointed armed guards to cross a border they had erected. They barricaded us all in here, Mr. Khan said. And they were sitting in lawn chairs with guns. For 23 days in June, about 6 blocks in the city's Capitol Hill neighborhood were claimed by left-wing demonstrators and declared police-free. Protesters hailed it as a liberation from police oppression, from white supremacy, and a catalyst for a national movement. In the wake of George Floyd, yes, we understand what happened. Some even called for abolishing the police, yet most of them did. Now a group of local business owners, including a locksmith, the owner of a tattoo parlor, a mechanic, the owners of a Mexican restaurant, and Mr. Khan, is suing the city. The lawsuit claims that Seattle's unprecedented decision to abandon and close off an entire city neighborhood, leaving it unchecked by the police, unserved by fire and emergency health services, and inaccessible to the public, resulted in enormous property damage and lost revenue. I am telling you right now, they did this on purpose. They're doing it in New York, and they will bring it to where you live. Mark my words. In Portland, the far-left Black Lives Matter rioters are going to residential neighborhoods. When these people in the Chaz marched to Mayor Jenny Durkin's house, what did she do? She snapped her fingers, sent in the police, and swept it all up. And it was done just like that. She allowed this to happen. The people who died, the crime, the suffering of the community. And what do you think's happening in New York? You think they don't know what's going on with the city? They are watching our cities burn, and they don't care. And you know what? Part of me says, well, you reap what you sow. To all of these people who were warned over and over again about what was going to come when you elect people like this, and now you've gotten it. And we can see the same thing with social media. We can see the same thing with the federal government. You know what, man? A lot of people try to act like I'm somehow waking up to what's going on. No, you are incorrect. They try and claim. I remember going back to the days of Gamergate. The Gamergate people saw something affecting their community. And then when other people started recognizing it and talking about it, they said, see, you're waking up. You're being red-pilled. Wrong. That is not what's happening. What's happening is the plague is spreading and it's getting worse. And it's sweeping across this country and it's burning down our cities and it's vandalizing the private businesses and people's homes. And it's getting to the point where it's in our government and our institutions. It's spreading. That's what's happening. I, of course, recognized the insanity and absurdity of what was happening during Gamergate. And it's not so much that I thought, that it wasn't a big deal. It was that, or I should say that, look, I recognize what these people are doing is insane. The issue was how widespread was it? And perhaps it was wrong of many people, but listen, to ignore. If your community is impacted by the psychosis that's spreading across this country, you're of course this is crazy. We got to do something about it. We saw this with Brett Weinstein and the Evergreen fiasco when the students locked down the school. He said this will spread once these people start graduating. And a lot of people didn't see it affect their areas. So no, I will not put on a MAGA beanie. I am not going to happily be supporting President Trump. If the election were to happen today, I probably would be voting for him, yes. But it is it is a begrudging move. The real issue at play here is this insanity is getting so insanely dangerous and spreading so far. We have quite literally watched Seattle, and now the entirety of New York is literally being razed, one of our great cities. Listen, you can mock the people in New York who voted for these people. You can mock the city folk and the urban liberals, but this country is made strong by our great cities. Our economy is bolstered by our great cities. And for all the things we may disagree on, we need them to succeed. I've seen myself pushed out of these cities over the past several years because of the absolutely absurd and broken policies of these politicians. And now the cities are completely destroyed. When you look at what's going on in New York, Seattle, particularly New York, did anybody need to drop a bomb on the city? They didn't. Welcome to the information warfare. In the information age, you can destroy a city with bad information, and the people will vote for someone who will gut it and burn it to the ground. Now Cuomo wants the rich people to come back because they need that money, but the economy is being ripped to shreds. De Blasio is making everything worse, and now people are fleeing more as homeless people are occupying their hotels and doing the unspeakable in city streets. It seems worse than it's been in a really, really long time. And with all the destruction of the businesses, with the businesses that were ripped to shreds in Seattle, you'd think somebody dropped a bomb on this place. But we're in Great Depression territory. And I have to wonder when I see these Democrats like Bill de Blasio mock the rich, calling them fair weather friends as they flee, is he doing it on purpose? I think so. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's all intentional. I don't know what we can expect moving forward, man. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose because they're trying as hard as possible to destroy Trump's chances, whatever you want to think. But I'll tell you this. I'm in New Jersey, and they're going to be releasing 20% of prison inmates. It seems like it's just absolutely absurd, an attack on us. In Los Angeles, the mayor has announced he's going to cut off the water and power to those who practice their First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. Now, of course, he said parties. I don't care what you call it. People have a right to hold gatherings, period. It is a First Amendment constitutionally protected right. And they're going to violate your rights. The cities are burning. New York is burning. Seattle businesses are suffering. The Democratic politicians and mayors have supported this. And now Portland has been on fire for 71 days, figuratively. And they just keep lying in the media. Hopefully, what we're seeing is just a fringe minority. And the people in media and on social media are a fringe minority. That's what I am hoping. And the regular people will stand up, wake up, and vote every single one of these people out. They need to be voted out, and they need to be voted out soon. Fortunately, November is coming. But man, we've got mail-in voter troubles. We've got election interference. We've got social media bias. BitChute links are apparently now banned on Twitter. I don't even know what's going on. And we can see what will happen if these people win. Let this be a warning to each and every one of you about what happens when these people run your cities. I'm curious as to what these people in New York and Seattle, are they going to vote Democrat now? Are they going to keep voting for the same people? I'd be willing to bet they are. I really mean it. But maybe as we come to the general election, it's not about the left. It's about the fact that in cities like Seattle, New York, you do have Republicans. In fact, in AOC's district, about 20% of it are Republicans. If every single one of those people voted, the district would turn red. I kid you not, because it's less than 20% that votes for Ocasio-Cortez. I am not exaggerating. If even some of the Democrats defect and join with a plurality of the Republicans, then the Republicans will win that district. And it's not because I like Republican policy I'm saying this. In fact, I don't. But it's because what the Democrats have done is above and beyond what a sane, rational, liberal person should accept. And if they keep voting for it, well, then I'm sorry, but you deserve what you get. This is your wake-up call and your warning. The cities have been burnt to the ground by the politicians you voted for or because you didn't vote at all. It's time to get up, stand up, speak up, and go and vote these people out and save your city. Too many people have left. We'll see how this plays out. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at timcast.net, and I will see you all then.